Oh, I'm sorry, Crit, what happened to showing mercy to South America and being afraid of South America every once in a while?
I have never showed mercy to South America a single time in my entire life. I need the mercy from them, and that's what happened today, I think.
That is true, but you definitely played your ass off this game, man. You're stealing runes, Wind Wakering, cutting waves. Do you find these, like, I'm sure you play equally intensely in every single game of Dota, but these types of games, do you find them more fun or do you find them more stressful when you're pushed to the limits, like, mechanically?
I mean, this one was a little bit stressful in a way that we kind of threw the game away a little bit, and it was not that easy for us to kind of find the fights, and then it just became a little bit chaotic, and we had to kind of find the way, and it's fun when you can kind of visualize what you need to do to fix whatever happens. Like, we die without buyback, and like it's nice when you actually can visualize it, but it can also be pretty annoying if you can't, you know. So I wouldn't say I enjoy it. I think I'm a little bit more of like a streamlined game enjoyer, you know, like if we can just get a lead and keep the lead and win the game, like that's preferred.
Gotcha. So I guess it's the difference between like improvisation versus a scripted game. You prefer being able to see the fundamentals, whereas improv, where it's all chaos, you're like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just prefer for us to be playing good Dota, honestly. And the other aspect is like, that's like the backup plan, you know, which can be fine. It can be fun once in a while, but like you don't want that to be like a characteristic of your team. I think that you're not playing clean, but yeah, it can be fun once in a while.
And for you, since you do pride yourself on fundamentals and structure, we got a chance to speak to Snaking earlier, and he said that in the absence of AUI 2000 not being around to coach, that you and him have been kind of bouncing ideas off each other in terms of draft and preparation. I wanted to know how this experience has been from your end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a team effort. I wouldn't say it's just me and Snape, but obviously I have some experience with it. I've drafted before. I've been in the scene for a long time, so I have some knowledge about Dota, you know, and I think it's good that I can help with that now that we don't have our coach. Some other aspects, like Skeeter, is also very helpful because he obviously also has a lot of expertise, and then the kids are the kids, you know, and they'll help with their parts. They'll say their part, which they always do. But I think for me, Skeeter, and Snake, it's been like kind of us three trying to power through in a way, because it is very tough to play without our coach, and to just kind of, I don't know. It's very different, for sure. It's hard to look at games and talk about them because you don't have like a third party that has no
emotional
like
investment.
No bias. Yeah, no emotional investment. Like, you can always like let him say his part, you know, like he's no bias, and then now we kind of have to talk to each other about it, and we're all like invested in the game, and we have our part of it, and it just makes it a little bit different, and we kind of have to coach each other, which is hard, and you kind of need to be a little bit more aware and be a better teammate, because you can easily like lose your temper, and you know, it's just a finer balance when you don't have somebody that's like the third party can do it for you.
That's a fantastic answer, and I appreciate hearing that from you, especially because, like you said, you had captainship experience back on EG. So then, since then, you've kind of taken more of a backseat, at least in terms of our view of like being as critically involved in these types of things. Do you miss that at all, or are you glad that it's not as much of a responsibility for you anymore?
It's a fine balance. I think when in some of those years where we're not doing too well, I did miss it, and it's hard to take a backseat and kind of like
trust the process.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that, but it's more like you're being quiet because it's the most helpful thing you can do, and you understand like you can't have too many opinions mixing at the same time, and that role is very hard in some ways because in Dota there's a lot of different ways you can think about it. And I think every player, regardless of how old or experienced, young, doesn't matter. Like it's too complex of a game for people to not have an opinion. So kind of like putting that in the backseat and letting somebody else do what they think and then buying into that is hard, especially if you're not doing well. Like a lot of years we were not doing that well, and I kind of had to just, you know, I just kind of trust the process. But you know, it's important that you just keep the formula and you don't like try to muddy the water, you know, because like once you start questioning, like then you didn't even really give the people that are in charge a chance, and then it's not good. So I would say it is something I miss sometimes, but at the end of the day, I've been in this role now for quite a few years. So I'd say it's been nice this tournament to get a little bit more of like a little bit of a taste for it, or just being able to do it again, because it is a challenge to be drafting and like to help in that department, and it's something else than just playing for sure.
I love the insight, my man. I'm going to pass you on over to Purge, who's got some questions as well.
Hey, Crit. So in DreamLeague, we do Group Stage 1 and Group Stage 2, and I know a lot of teams will try strats out in Group Stage to get some practice in, but I was curious how differently you take Group Stage 1 versus Group Stage 2, since you're against better teams.
I think it's very different, mainly because it's best of threes. That's the biggest part. I think best of twos are usually just a bit more... I don't really know. Best of twos are just not very good, to be honest. This is much more like just a bracket where we're playing best of threes, and we're not really testing anything. Like, we're doing our best to win against each team. We have 1 day to prepare for each team, and we're not practicing it anymore. Like, we played Wallachia, we played Dacha, and we played Group Stage 1, and we have all the knowledge we need to you know, like, try to win every team, and we're just kind of trying to do our best to make the top 4 and then see if we can win the tournament.
Cool, that's great to hear. In terms of your guys' farm distribution, everyone talks about Amar wanting to scale longer. So with him taking more farm than a typical offlaner, you have less farm on the map. Would you say that's true?
No, I wouldn't say that's... I wouldn't necessarily say that's true. I think it just depends on the game. I think it's mostly the other cores that will suffer in some way. Because the farm that supports take are usually just here between supports. It's usually like a very specific part of the map that will be occupied by one support. It's like the dangerous part, or like the risky waves, or whatever it is, you know. So me and Snape will be splitting that amount, and then the course will split there. So like, I don't think Amar's farm is not my farm, you know. So he's not really taking any of mine, and same the other way around.
I gotcha. And I have one last question. Last time we spoke, I asked about your signature heroes, and at the time I was thinking like Hoodwink and Tusk, heroes you played recently, but you mentioned Shadow Shaman. And for me personally, I can't remember the last time I saw a Shadow Shaman in pub. It feels like the hero hasn't been good in like 5 years or something. What do you think needs to change to make the hero viable?
Yeah, I mean, he had like 1 week, I think, when the fastest first came out. He was good for like 1 week, and then Valve destroyed him again. So I don't know. I thought he was fine when he had the damage amplification on his Hex. I thought that was really good. Now he doesn't really have anything going for him. Like, I think he is just in a bad spot. I think the cluster clock thing can be good in some situations, but like the rest of his toolset is just not good enough.
What about the big ward?
The big cock is not very good. It's just not.
Yeah, you can't trap. That's kind of a bummer.
No. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for answering my questions.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I could see it being a soft spot for you because you clearly like playing save heroes, so I could see you doing some high skill stuff with Shadow Shaman Cluster Cluck, but save it for another patch perhaps. Crit, always a pleasure to pick your brain. Congratulations on the series victory, and best of luck against Spirit tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.